The Wellness Show, Episode 60.
Welcome to The Wellness Show, a podcast on health and wealth. I'm your host, Tyson Bannigan, the founder of the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. Join me as we get the latest insight, tips, and strategies from wellness providers, coaches, and successful, heart-centered entrepreneurs, and much, much more. So, welcome to the Wellness Show, and today we're talking with Andrea Isaacs, and we're going to talk about emotional intelligence, which I'm quite excited about because a lot of where the problems are is how do we handle our emotions, because they invariably come up and they invariably get in our way. So, Andrea, before we ask those sorts of questions and get those sorts of answers, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you bring to the world with your passion.
Well, thank you, Tyson, and it's great to be here with you. I'm just delighted to have this conversation. So yes, I've been teaching people about how to increase emotional intelligence by listening to their body's wisdom for 22 years now. So I'm an international speaker, I'm an empowering facilitator and transformational coach. And I change people's lives by working with the body, by having them listen to the energy. Because as we shift the energy in our bodies, it changes how we think, how we feel, and how we react to life. And it's our reactions to life that really prevent us from living the lives we want. And I think for a long time in my own life, I didn't value happiness. I was really shy, and I found being around people was really kind of scary and frustrating. And I just hated being that way. So I think I created this unique approach to increasing emotional intelligence by listening to your body's wisdom, really to just save my own life because I wasn't liking the life I was living. And I would say that using these tools has changed me so much. Thank goodness. So I have the confidence I want and need. I can talk to the people I'm most interested in talking with. And I know it has changed the lives of so many other people. So I'm delighted to share that with you today.
Well, that's great. You know, emotional intelligence, it's a great overview of just how important it is to listen to our body. We get stuck in our head. I don't know how we decided, I guess the rational brain, I guess with Descartes, I think therefore I am, we've got stuck in our head. We forget that we're in a body. I don't know why we think that way, but we believe that somehow we have to push the envelope with our brain or nothing is going to get done. And really what you're doing is you're saying, well, wait a minute, the real intelligence is in the body. And if you listen to your body, you got a whole different perspective on the world and how to move forward. So that's neat. So this came out of a crisis, did it?
Well, a lifelong crisis. It wasn't like an incident. It was just a life of not valuing happiness. I do, by the way, value happiness now. Yeah. I also want to comment on something you just said. I actually value all the different kinds of intelligence that we have. I believe we all have, an intellectual knowing and intelligence, an emotional knowing and intelligence, and also a body-based knowing and intelligence. And they're all important. And most people get stuck in one or the other. And I think really to live a full life and to be you're fully connected to yourself and to life and to spirit or source, we actually want to be able to listen to the voices of all of those intelligences. So I value them all.
I like that. So you're talking about a holistic approach to body intelligence, well, to intelligence. So from your perspective, then, can you name some of them? Like there's brain intelligence, there's body intelligence. Like, do you take that out? Like, do you get into like your gut intelligence and your heart intelligence? Like, do you go?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my work was initially based on a personality system called the Enneagram. And Ennea means 9 in Greek. And it describes 9 different personality styles. And actually 3 of them are body-based. They're gut-centered types. And the gut center is the home of our gut knowing, our instincts, our gut reaction, and it's just the physical center of our body also. And then there are 3 types that are in the heart center. And the heart center is our home of our emotions, our love, our sorrow, all of our emotions. It's a really good place to focus on when we want to connect to another person, or if we want to just know how we feel. To place your mind's attention on your heart chakra, which is a point on your sternum, really brings emotion up. So if you want to know how you feel about someone or something, you can focus there. And then, of course, we all have this intellectual intelligence, this intellectual knowing. And I don't want to devalue that at all. I think it's valuable in certain areas. It's the home of our rational understanding, our curiosity, our intellectual knowing. that's valuable too. But I like to temporarily, and I use that word on purpose, to temporarily bypass the thinking mind. Because when someone's challenged in life, I just believe I believe in everyone's intelligence. Everyone is smart. And that if you could have figured it out with your thinking brain, you would have already. So I reassure them we're going to come back to that. But right now, let's temporarily bypass that and listen to this other intelligence. And then we go back to it. And we have the body inform the mind.
I like that. So it seems like to me from that engram that you've taken your program further than that. Is that correct? But that's still one of the—
Yes. I think I appreciate that question. You know, it really, in a way, is the foundation of my work because it's a starting point, but it's more than just about the Enneagram. It's a great starting point because when you start to explore these different emotions that different personality styles have, and their gifts and their challenges are predictable. So someone who knows the system says, if you're a type this, then, oh, they must have this strength and they have these challenges, right? It's usually quite true. And so what I have found initially doing work that was only based on the Enneagram is that it actually was helping us increase our emotional intelligence because, say, for someone like me, who for many years was a shy person, I was in that box called shy. That's not called a type, but, you know, it's a box called shy. I was able to get out of my box and embody the confidence and the gifts that belonged really to another personality style. And then I learned, this wasn't my intention, but in doing this work, I learned that we could actually embody the gifts of all personality styles. And that's literally how you would increase emotional intelligence. But it didn't stop there. Because I think any emotion you want, you don't have to put it in a box, say, well, which type is that? You don't have to do that. I can guide people in embodying any emotion that they want.
I like that.
Or transform any emotion they don't like.
You know, one of my spiritual teachers said that, you know, you can achieve enlightenment on any particular emotion you choose. If you just go for it totally and it becomes totally your being, that will take you through to enlightenment. And I thought, wow, that's an interesting concept. It's not that one emotion is more important than another or there's no ranking to it. It has to do with the intensity and our connection to that, the significance of what that emotion is and what it is delivering to us from a whole body perspective, a whole knowingness. So I found that really interesting. So is that sort of what you're talking about?
Well, you know, in a way, I would say any emotion has a positive side and a challenging side. Yeah. So say confidence, for instance. There's confidence is great, but sometimes there's the gift and then there's the gift gone wrong. So it's like too much of a good thing. Yeah. So you can go to a dark place with that as well. Or even someone who's nurturing and really giving and helpful. What a beautiful quality. But take the gift gone wrong. What if there's too much of that? And they give and they give, and they're giving in order to prove to themselves that they're lovable. And meanwhile, the other person is feeling smothered. Well, then it's not quite so good, right? And each in the Enneagram system, anyway. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I interrupted you. I said, I was thinking, well, does that mean that we're going for the balance between them all? Is that what we're going when we're talking about this?
Yeah. In fact, one of the things I do in my live events, also my virtual events, is I have people kind of swing back and forth in what I call in a ritual container where there are no real life consequences to experience both extremes. Because the right place is often someplace in the middle, but it's hard to find that point if you don't know both extremes. You don't want to, in real life, necessarily go to the darker side. But if you avoid the darker side, you can't really fully and authentically embody the healthy, beautiful side. So in this ritual container, I have them experience the range of that swing, and then they can determine in their own lives from moment to moment, well, where do I need to be? Can I be right in the middle? Maybe in this moment, I need to raise my voice just a little bit. Right. I don't need to go all the way to the dark side. But if I don't know that dark side, I won't know how to modulate where I'm standing in that particular spectrum.
I love that. So you really, you know, from a Jungian perspective, you're saying embrace your shadow, understand what it is, understand the intensity of that experience, but also know what it is on the light side and the dark side so that you know the full spectrum of your emotion so you can find that balance somewhere in the middle. And sometimes, like you said, we need to be stronger and sometimes we need a little bit of weaker. It's sort of like becoming the maestro of your emotions.
I love that word, maestro of your emotions. Yeah, one of the things I say is learn to master your emotions so that your emotions aren't the master of you. Yeah. Another way to call it. I love the maestros. I love the musicality of that, of course. Yeah, that's very much what I'm saying. And, you know, it's so true that we can't really know the light if we don't know and embrace the dark. And the dark shadow that we all have to some degree, it's part of humanity. And as soon as we push it aside and say, no, that's not me, we're throwing it into our shadow. And it could be okay for a while. However, the shadow is going to leak. And when it leaks, if we haven't done our work, then it's going to start running us.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, and it's even true when it comes to disembodied spirits and showing up in people's lives. I know this sounds a little bit strange, but one of the things I am as an exorcist, so I have to deal with people that get entities. But it's the dark side of what they haven't dealt with in their own beingness, right? So it's like the entity shows up to demonstrate to them that this is the part of themselves that they haven't claimed yet. And so rather than coming at the approach, well, somebody's doing something to me and I'm the victim and oh, poor me, when they own it, that, well, this entity's shown up with a lesson, and what is it, that lesson? What is it that I haven't seen in the shadow area inside of myself? They start to free themselves and no longer are a victim. Right. So that's really powerful to get in control of your emotions. Not control them, I guess more understand them, right?
Well, it's more than that too. So there's something in between. I would say having the ability to transform an emotion on the spot. All right. When you get triggered, rather than going home and thinking about it, but to be able to transform an emotion on the spot, that is emotional intelligence. So it's all of the above. It's like, oh yeah, I know you just pushed a button. I'm really irritated. I'm about to really get angry and I don't want to get angry. What's the best? Well, how can I respond in a way that reflects my best and highest self and also honors your best and highest self? But all that in one breath, and then to shift that emotion from a feeling and emotion that I don't like, and that will not be productive, to one that's harmonious and it really invites conversation. That's emotional intelligence.
I like that. So really you're bringing an alchemical approach to this. So you're taking emotion and you're transforming it literally right there, right? You're not denying one part or the other. You're just transforming it.
Exactly. In fact, I've used that word emotional alchemy for my work at times, because that's what we're doing. We're transforming bad feelings into good feelings. I don't think there's a bad emotion. You know, some people think that anger, for instance, is bad. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It usually means you've been hurt or betrayed. Something happened that you don't like. And so what can be bad about anger is what we do with it. You know, and I think that you could say that usually it's one of two things. People often either overexpress it, and that comes out yelling and screaming or being defensive, or they underexpress it, and that comes out as not speaking up and holding it in and holding it in and holding it in until you just blow, because you can't hold it in forever.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I also read in a book that I really liked, I think it's called Initiation, where she described it becoming a priestess in Egypt, that one of her lessons, or one of the things that she needed to learn, was that all emotions are like notes on a piano. You need to learn each note and understand that, you know, both the dark and the white, and what it means between the notes, and even the power of the silence. And that's always stuck with me, that, you know, each note has a significance and has part of the whole, you know, soundscape we live in. All of these notes are valuable. All of them, like you say, have a role to play. All of them are appropriate in the right time and the right place. It just comes down to choice, right? Choice that we make at that moment.
That's exactly. I totally agree with that. You know, for someone who felt like I was a victim of my emotions for so long, I can recognize now, and looking back at every time that I suffered or I felt struggle, I can look back and say every time it was a choice. And I had this realization at one point that things were tough for me for a period of time, and I felt like I was going down this spiral, and I had this moment, and I thought, surely I've hit bottom and things will shift and go up again, and things got worse again. And then I thought, surely I've hit bottom and things will get better. No, I just kept going down. And then I had this realization, what if there's a parallel universe where everything I perceive as a struggle actually has ease and flow? It was like I always kind of thought should be ease in life, but it wasn't my experience. And then I thought, well, how did I do this to my life? And I realized, oh my God, I am such a good creator, such a manifester, because if I think life has struggle and is about struggle, look what I created. So then I started to see that there's this other reality. And then actually, it's not so much a parallel reality. I saw it more like a V. And at the bottom of the V, when you're done digging, and we can go upwards as soon as we're done digging and we stop being a victim of those emotions, it's just like a 3-degree change in your perspective. And to see this other path where everything that had been perceived as a struggle can be perceived as ease. And it can be the same life. And then suddenly, what I noticed for myself when I had that realization and I shifted my perspective is that I started to experience ease and reciprocal flow. The flow was always outward. I felt like I was always giving and doing and giving. Nothing was coming back. Yeah. But I started to experience the reciprocity of the universe. Beautiful.
Yeah, what a beautiful gift. And I love what you're saying. So the clue, if we're going to give clues to people listening to this call, if your life is not flowing with ease and grace, then it's probably time to reach out to Andrea and have a conversation, because that's our divinity. That's who we are. That's when we show up and we're authentic. We're in the divine flow. And we do have ease and grace in our life. And that's our birthright. And so when that's not happening in your life, then give her a call, because why shouldn't we be this way? Why shouldn't we have happiness? Why shouldn't we have prosperity? Why shouldn't we be gifted by the universe? So I love what you're doing. I love the fact that you're helping people really discover who they are, who they've always been, but sort of got in the way of themselves.
Right. Yeah, I think our true nature is to have that ease and flow. It's funny that I'm teaching this. Sometimes I laugh because it was not my reality for decades, but I totally believe it, and I know how to get me back there when I lose it, and I know how to guide other people to that.
Yeah, it wasn't that.
Yeah, I think there's so much joy.
You had to lose it, discover it, and regain it, so that now you know the path back, so you can sort of shine the light on the way, right, for those to follow.
Right.
Yeah. That's
right. Well, they say we best teach what we most need to know, or what we most needed to know. And this is certainly something that was my life's path, was to figure this out. And now it's the gift that I do bring to the world. Yeah.
So how do you work with clients? Do you work with clients one-on-one? Do you do group? Do you have programs? Tell us a bit about how you deliver your awesomeness into the world.
Well, thank you. I do a combination of all of that. I have coaching clients that I meet one-on-one, usually phone, Skype, and now and then actually in person. And when we do that, I have them tell me what's up, an emotional pattern they experience that they want to change. And we translate the emotional energy into physical energy. So even on a call, I have them get out of their chair and I have them move in a way that actually helps them experience that emotion that they don't like. And then in a very short process, I talk them through an exercise that causes them to shift the energy in their bodies. And they bypass their thinking mind. They're just in their bodies. And to make this a little more alive, I'll give it a more clear example. Say someone who has a lot of anxiety about not knowing how to know. I've experienced this a lot with certain kinds of people. I just don't know how to decide, and I feel like this nervousness, and I just don't know. And I ask others, but no one really knows. And so there's this anxiety. So we'll do a process where he'll be just experiencing that energy of, that shaking and not having solid ground and so on. So in the short process, and listening to his body's wisdom, I ask him some questions, and then his body finds what his body would rather feel. So in this case, this man became still, and he planted his feet squarely on the floor, and he had one palm on his heart center and one palm on his belly. And he was so grounded, and he looked so certain. And so this became his mudra. Traditionally, mudra could be a prayer or meditation position. But in this case, his whole body was in a position that was like an antidote to the fear of not knowing. So then I asked him now to have his body inform his mind. I said, listening, feeling, experiencing that energy in your body, how would you finish an I statement? That describes who you are. And he said, I am solid ground.
Wow, I like that.
And that became his antidote. Yeah, not there is. I am solid ground. It's so beautiful. So that's an example of working with a client. In my group programs, we go through the Enneagram because I think it's so profound, not only in helping you understand who and why the way you are, and why your strengths inspire you in bringing certain gifts and dreams to the world, but also the kinds of challenges you might experience along the way. And it's the beginning and expanding our emotional intelligence. So I always use the Enneagram. And then whenever issues come up, like someone who is nervous about decisions, or someone who's too shy or angry or impatient, take any feeling you don't like, then I'll say, well, do you want to come up here and do a piece of work with me? And they usually say yes. They can always say no. That's fine. And that happens sometimes. They almost always say yes. And then they'll get up and in a group setting, whether it's a virtual program or a live program. I do a lot of one-on-one coaching in that context as well. So it's the one-on-one work, it's the group settings, and it's the coaching in the group context as well. And then I have a group coaching program too.
So you got a brand new one coming up almost immediately, right?
I do, yes. So we start Thursday, August 11th. And if our listeners are listening to this after the fact, you can still join the program and you get to the members area where all the materials are there for you. And if you want to read more about it, I'm going to give you a bit.ly link, which is a lot easier to write down. So it starts out bit.ly/free. This is a freebie for all of you. So check it out. Free virtual EQ. And I'll say that again. bit.ly free virtual EQ. And that all has to be lowercase, by the way. And it's my gift to you and your listeners that you are all welcome to attend for free. It's something I really want everybody to know, because the bottom line of all of this is if you feel stuck or you're not enjoying your life or manifesting the dream or living how you want to live, a lot of people think, well, that's just me. That's just the way it is. I just have to deal with it. I don't buy it. I say change can be easy. And when you're not experiencing it that way, it's because there's a missing step. And I say the missing step is listening to your body's wisdom.
Well, I love that. So we're about to wrap up, and that was a hot tip, but you got another one? I'm sure you got another one.
I'm sure I have another one. Let's see. I love the question, who's the me I want to be?
Oh,
I just started asking that. Yeah. So if you find yourself in the middle of an emotional reaction, and probably you've been down that path before, and probably you can anticipate where that might go. And if you don't like where it's going, ask yourself the question, is that the me I want to be? And if the answer is no, then notice your body and shift the energy. If the energy is strong and hard, make it soft and gentle. If the energy is really soft and gentle to the point that maybe you're even spaced out and not doing anything, maybe you need to sharpen up your focus. You're in the body and the energy in your body. Whatever the energy is, just shift it. And because we're, our heads, hearts, and bodies are all connected, as you shift the energy in your body, you will change how you think, how you feel, and how you live your life.
I love that. Yeah, and it happens instantaneously. As soon as you identify the emotion, guess what? You're no longer there. I love what you were talking about. I think it's powerful. Thank you for inviting people to join you on the program, all the listeners on the Wellness Show. So this is your freebie. You better take advantage of it. So thanks for showing up. And I'm sure we're going to get to talk again as you launch the next and the next and the next awesome program. So thanks for showing up. It's been a great interview, and good luck in this new program.
Thanks for having me, Tyson.
All right, then. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.
For quality online wellness products, courses, and services, visit our sponsors, thewellnessstore.ca. and the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy located at thewellnessacademy.ca. To stay in touch, visit us at thewellnessshow.ca. And until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.